is the recipe for experiences of meaningful connection, of joy, for relationships that feel that peace in our heart that says, I matter. Someone care about me. Oh, it's emotional. I feel like that. So thank you for all of you for caring. For each other, for your children, for God, for being here. We're going to start out with a little prayer by my daughter Eliza, and we'll jump right in.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that we can all gather under this roof together and that we can all arrive here safely. Please bless on our drive home wherever we go. We may arrive safely, and that as we're here, we learn something new, that everyone learns something new, and make new friends and connection. And we say these things in Jesus Christ.
Amen. I'm going to start with a little introduction, and I'm going to be just jumping in to introduce our different presenters. We have a lot of wonderful people that are contributing today. The Joy Standard. What does that mean? That's what we're going to start with. Like, why are we calling it Joy Standard? As you enjoy your chocolate, we're going to just read a little bit about joy. Let's see who wants to read. Angela, can you see? Can you also close? Yeah, just the front.
The joy of the saints sunk deep into my heart.
Any guesses who said that? That was Ines. Before he prayed, he was like, the joy of the saints. And I wanted to know about that, so I prayed about it. Susan, can you see?
The love of God is most sweet above all we have ever tasted. This tree and its fruit represent the love of God manifested in the birth, life, ministry, and atoning sacrifice of Jesus Christ. This love filled Lehi's soul with exceedingly great joy.
Okay, that's Lehi. Let's see who. Let's see, please, Kim.
Out of all that they might be, and that are that they might have joy.
Any thoughts on that? I love the contrast. The fall, and I mean, for moms, that's real, right? Dirt, dishes, diapers, frustrated schedules. This all imperfect, fallen world we live in. What is it for? That we might have joy. So joy is the object, the target, the place we're trying to go to. Okay. Joy is the fruit of the tree of life. And that's why it's called joy. When I first had my little 3-4-year-old Taylor, my first daughter, we decided, okay, she's 3 or 4, she needs friends now, let's gather, right? So my sister called me and a few sisters in the ward, we organized ourselves and started a little preschool in the church building. And it was really fun. We had a great time for about a year. Then, my niece was actually born 3 weeks early on August 23rd, and my daughter was born 3 weeks late on September 17th. So she missed the cutoff deadline for kindergarten. And so we're like, oh, I'm just gonna tell you kind of my life story and background of like why the recipe I'm gonna give you actually think is the best secret recipe for making co-ops, okay? So we're like, okay, we need a group. What group, like, around what? What are we gonna gather around? These are all places we've been to. When that ended, FLA started 10 years ago. And I gathered with some of the first moms, and we initially gathered around a curriculum, the Family School American Heritage Family School curriculum. And we're like, we're gonna do these lessons, and we're gonna teach them, and it's gonna be amazing. And it was great, but then somebody had a better idea. They said, hey, instead of just doing the curriculum, why don't we do experiences that are just powerful? For example, I want to do this tea party, and she was super excited. Elizabeth Little, you know, if you know her, you know that she's like, boom, ideas, revelation, thoughts, and so we changed the recipe to mom infused, excited to teach something classes. And we did that for a year or two, but I had to drive 35 minutes to Lehigh, and having 4 kids under 5, I was like, we'll just do something else at home, like it's fine, right? We'll just have another group. And it actually was. We did nature, we did Wild and Free for nature, so we gathered around nature, and that worked great until my oldest started to be like 11 or 12, and they needed something else. We also gathered around academics, the Utah Independent League. We gathered around another curriculum, TJ Ed, And it all has a benefit, right? Like the academics or this class or the other. Montessori, I actually started a little Montessori school and had Montessori classes around pottery. They all have something to contribute. They also have something that was missing for me at some point, meaning they aged out of it, or Christ was not involved in it, or for example, we did a mama group where moms got together, but there wasn't a real clear delineation of authority, and so it kind of fizzled. Another small one, 3 or 4 families, and somebody moved out. And so after a while, I was like, okay, FLA actually was pretty good. Let's try and go back. And just in the nick of time when I really needed it, we went back. Now, that journey wasn't in vain. I don't want this to sound like I'm putting anything down, because I have some of my best friends that came from those places, actually sitting here. And it was so enriching, right? Coming back to the last co-op, a lot of what I'm going to be sharing is just my observations and experiences from being in FLA. Now, I wanted to be clear, this is not FLA sponsored. Legal disclaimer that you may have a heart attack of love and giggles, but it's not FLA's fault. It's all mine. It's all my experiences and my perspective, okay? But a lot of what I'm going to share comes from the experiences that I've learned from people that were in that community. I felt, oh my gosh, I felt like this in many communities. But something that I loved about FLA, it was big and I needed that for my older kids, but it was also very sanctuary-like in terms of Christ. Like I could talk about my faith, and I could ask for prayers, and I could feel supported, and I was able to strengthen my faith in Christ because I was around other women of faith. He is actually the secret recipe. I guess what I'm trying to say to this whole thing, the joy standard, the joy part is Christ. He is the fruit of the tree. So creating a community where he can be a part of it allows our sanctuary to grow. So first we need to have a sanctuary for God in our own hearts, right? Like come to him, invite his spirit and his peace. Then that sanctuary needs to grow to include our relationships with our family, the way we treat our children and our spouse. And then if we can have a community where that can still be part of the equation, that is powerful. And we can make that happen. Gathering is an important part of the latter days. It's a key element. There's prophecies in Isaiah, and then if I interpret it in 2 Nephi, there's like whole chapters that we could explore about gathering and being in sacred places and being transformed and having his image and his light shine through us so that we can help the world be ready for his coming. Like it sounds so big, and that's exactly what we're doing. It's an important job. Okay. What does the ensign to the nations mean in Isaiah, or the standard, or the banner, or the tree of life? They're all symbols that in my analysis represent something. Like if I tell you, look at this picture and tell me, what words come to your mind, or when you think of the tree of life, what is the fruit, what is the object, the end? I mean, I say joy already, right? Like that's how I would sum it up, but what else, what other words come to your mind? What are we after? And it's not a rhetorical question, it's a question.
Great hearts.
Great hearts.
I see a lot of connection in that picture.
Yes, connection. Yes, stability, strength.
There's a lot of variety of colors and people.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of variety. You see it in the colors here. You see it in the races and the ethnicities. Their clothes are white, which gives us that sense of unity too, right? The fruits of the Spirit. Nourishment, light, goodness, joy, mercy, kindness, refreshment, refuge. We want to have that in our lives, in our families, also in our communities. I love that this image represents Christ in the tree. It represents the social connection. It represents the happiness, the joy, the uplifting, the nourishing, protection. In this specific rendition, what I love too is that people are basking so happily in all that love and joy that even though we know there's a river and destruction and whatever going around, this is so significant in their experience, in the relationships, and in what they're living that it protects them. It encompasses them. Does that make sense? Like it's a sanctuary. Okay. Now I use the word standard on purpose. What does the word standard mean? Well, it has at least two meanings, right? In the terms of Isaiah, a standard, when you went to war, they would actually lift a tree or strip down a stick, a giant pole, and they would put a flag on it. And it would serve, hi, welcome, come on in. It would help guide people. Like, if the standard went this way, people knew that's where we gathered. If they moved over to that side, they're like, that's where we're gonna find the strength and the refuge. So a standard can be a guide, like a star, like a guiding star, right? It can also be a measure, like a standard. The word standard also means a measure, right? Like, what's the standard? What are we after? What are we expecting? What are we looking for? That standard, like I mentioned, is Jesus Christ, the fruits of the Spirit. Being identified with Him, transformed in Him, nourished by Him. And that's why, to me, it's been so nourishing to be in a community that is deeply Christ-centered. It allows for really deep value alignment. Okay. So this, here I'm just quoting that scripture that the fruits of the Spirit are joy. We kind of mentioned it. So yeah, what we're trying to cultivate, what we're trying to grow, or what I'm trying to grow when I come to a community and I'm like, this is what I'm trying to grow. It's joy, it's love, it's connection. It's letting somebody know, I'm here for you and I care about you a lot more than the transactional class you're committed to. You know what I mean? And because I feel loved, I show up with my best. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this because I love that kid and I want to see that smile and I love that mom. And I'm actually pretty impressed that I know so many names because I've always been bad with names. But I'm so connected to these people that I know the names of the 3-year-olds and all kinds of people that I might usually know. Okay, so where is this fruit to be found? It's in relationships and it's in experiences. We came to earth to have both relationships and experiences. Our learning, we can talk about it from a psychological perspective, from an educational perspective. If you create and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but if you can create an experience, when you teach something, kids will learn it better. If there's a deep relationship and a connection and you teach something, kids will learn it better than if it's just dry data. Okay, this is just that God makes sanctuaries from us. Like I think I mentioned it in our hearts, in our families, in our communities, and ultimately the goal, His goal, is to make the whole earth a sanctuary. And well, that's when He's coming, right? And He wants us to help prepare our communities for that. Okay. The roots, the illustration I'm trying to use for this co-op is the tree of life. The co-op recipe that I found to be so valuable to me. And so the roots for me are truth and goodness found in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and connection and love of Him first. And so the gospel of Jesus Christ is a root. We're going to have some talk about all kinds of aspects, but I just wanted to be clear that it works because it's connected to Him. Okay, now our little introduction for Drennan. So, we're going to be building the tree of life as an object lesson of the different structural parts of how the co-op runs. Yeah? So, first, we're going to talk a little bit about starting a new co-op and how Mama culture is that important, and Drennan will present.
I love that you're using a tree. I wish I had put our group actually made what we call, or it's called Concord Family Academy. Concord means unity, togetherness, harmony.
We actually made a tree that we call it our whole soul education tree, and we put the ground in, and we had Jesus Christ, and then we said, and then we made the fruit first, and we said, what do we want in this fruit? What do we want our kids to gain? What do we want the moms to gain? And then what do we need to put in this soil? Number one, of course, was Christ. And then we added everything in that we needed. And then with each branch, every year we choose a word that we pray about, and we are grafting these different things in. So our first year was gathering and attachment, community, and our second year was fun, epic, wild and crazy, and this year it's elevate. This coming year, we're in our third year. So I wish I had known that, because I would have shown you our tree. It's really cute. One of the mamas put it in digitized it or whatever. So we are Nancy right here, and I started this group, and we have a few of our moms here today. We're so glad they could join us. But we have created a really lovely mama culture that has been so uplifting for all of us. And I do have to say, I created a lot of it with the help from people at FLA. So I'll tell you a little of my experience. I've been homeschooling, I think, 14 or 15 years. I've been in many different groups. And I watched Carmel Larson start FLA, and I came. We probably saw each other at one point. But I lived far away, and I just couldn't make it. I had all little kids, and was always pregnant. And finally, when my, at the time, youngest child was 3, the Spirit's like, okay, now go. So I went. I was so excited, and I walked in. I was a part of 2 other groups at this point that were good groups. I enjoyed them. But we walked in, and my husband said, he leaned over, he goes, Jenna, this is your place. These are your people. He's like, the light in here, the love, we could both just feel it. It was so unified. And anyway, I got to join. I was so excited. I was there a year. My 3-year-old then got whooping cough for months. And in that time, the Spirit said, you need to leave FLA. And I cried for 3 days. But and here's what he told me. It sounds kind of mean. I was like, but I want to go there. And the Spirit's like, they don't need you. But other people need this type of culture. So you've got to do it. So it still took another 2 years, but that's how this came. It really was a different feel of love and unity and sisterhood among the moms, which trickled down to the youth. So how we started, we prayed for specific skill sets. So not everyone, is the whole pie. So some examples, we would pray for people who are organized and loved events. People who really go big in things and love to make big events and parties. Someone who wanted to direct a play, and we've got a cute little play crew now. It's awesome. And people with deep faith, and someone who loves music, art. And the list just goes on. And as we prayed for those, everybody kind of embodies different pieces of all of them. But we would get somebody who's like, oh, I direct plays, and someone who is over the top fun. And people have just come in and have been led to the groups. I think that if you're starting a group, it's a really good idea to have a vision of kind of what you want, and then asking Heavenly Father to bring those people to you. Okay, we also made a little friendship contract. So when we interview people, we say, I just want you to know, you have to be our friends. Non-negotiable, you have to. You come in and you actually check a box in our membership agreement that you will be friends. We don't do drama, we do not do backbiting. It's just not allowed. There can be conflict, that's okay, and we can handle that because those things arise, and that's totally fine. But we don't do the other stuff. And we have had moms say how amazing that has been, because they say it takes down that wall of, do you like me? Do I like you? Am I fitting in here? It's just, you do. You automatically, if you join our group, you're part of us, and you better like us. Not okay not to. Let me just see. Just sets an expectation of acceptance in the beginning, which allows mamas not to wonder if they'll fit in. And it's been really helpful. Okay, we have an all-in culture. So this actually came from FLA, and we let moms know, if you join our group, you have to be all in. We understand that there are times where you're pregnant, you're sick, your husband is sick. There's all sorts of things. So it will ebb and flow, but whatever you can give at that time, that's what you give. And I think that has really helped, because one thing I've noticed, I hope this is the right slide, but if not, well, I don't know where it is. I just don't want to skip this. What I've noticed in groups, if a mother is all in, she's learning and growing too. So she's always leveling up. If you're always trying to get outside of your comfort zone, if you're learning new things to teach new skills, then you're leveling up. So then if all 30 moms are doing that, every year, every semester, your group is moving up. I am kind of a shy and more introverted person, so I've noticed if I'm in a group that does not require that, I like to fly under the radar. And you lose something, you lose growth. And I love to be able to say, let's grow together. And you kind of require that. So, all right, we let people know that we believe in them. So we communicated trust for each mom that came into our group. We were open about God guiding them to our group, and we knew that because of this, that we needed what they had to offer. I think sometimes as women especially, it's hard for us to believe in ourselves occasionally, and sometimes we get down on ourselves. But if you have another mother there saying, I see you, I see your gifts, I see your value, and we need what you have, it just gives you that little bit of a boost to say, okay, I can do it. Somebody else believes in me. That's been very important. We really work on Mama's gifts. So we actually created a Mama gift page in our master spreadsheet. We have in there the gifts that you were naturally born with, and then you write those out. We have in the gifts that you are developing currently, and gifts that you would like to develop. And then there's also a place that we put in gifts that we see in you. So then we can write in what we see in each mom. And it's been kind of cool because as we've done different events or planning classes, it's fun for the education director or the calendar person to look through that and say, oh, this mama would be great here, or she wants to learn this. And so you give them that opportunity. We do a lot of learning together. So we have Mama's Nights and Mama's Classes. Our Mama's Nights have been a lot of learning, and I feel like when moms are learning together and they start having, the same vision of things, they're learning the same things, they're reading the same books, it just brings a unity. When I first was learning when I was quizzing everybody from FLA, one of the things they said, I think it was Kim, said, if you go into an FLA house, the kids will be like, oh, we have that same book, and we have that same, I think she said, like a neck pillow. Like everybody has the same stuff. But how neat that is to transfer. As the kids go into these different homes that they go into all the time, they feel at home because they see it's all familiar for them. We have Mama classes. So our second semester, we have the kids teach, which is from FLA, that's what they have done as well. The teens teach the youngers, and then the moms have a class. That has been essential in creating unity for our moms, because if you've been in co-ops, you don't get time to talk. It is just crazy business. So we have made it very clear that that needs to be there. And what's so beautiful about it is we can guide through the Spirit what needs to be talked about and what we need to be learning, but also we let the moms teach what they're passionate about to other mothers. And that has been really neat to get to know the moms in that way. Next one. Okay, having fun together. So we love to do a little dancing together. We've done fashion shows. The moms in our group don't know this yet, but one of our new moms, her talent is rapping. So we will be doing that. She's gonna collect all the little exciting things from this next school year, and she's going, don't look at me like that, Nancy. She's like, no, we're not doing that. We are doing that. And so she's gonna put all these experiences together, and we're gonna create a little rap for our kids and present that to them at the end of the year. We have park days, and in our park days, we always have a discussion. Right now, we've done Well-Educated Heart for the past 2 years, but this year, we're teaching a little bit about Thomas Jefferson education. We had a get to know you night last week ago, 2 weeks ago. It was so fun because we do have a few new moms, and it was a blast. We have a lot of joking and memes that go on in our text threads, and we just like to let our hair down. Like, try not to take ourselves too seriously. Have fun. All right? Okay, we require smiles for Monday. Monday is our day that we meet, and we know that life can be kind of hard, so it can be difficult to put on a smile. But we do ask that moms who join, for that 4 or 5 hours that you're there, that you're smiling. Everything else can be put aside, but we've got to show these kids the joy in learning. And it's just like our game day. It's game on, and sometimes you have to fake it. There have been some fake smiles, I know, even for myself. I've had some hard times this last year, and but for that time, if those kids can see smiling faces, it helps them so much to just feel at peace and to take what you're saying into their hearts. Yes.
Experience that, like, faking it, you actually made it. Like, you're like, actually,
Yes.
these people, and then by the time you get out, you're like,
You're feeling better, you feel better, and then you see all the other smiling faces, and you're like, you know what? My problems kind of stink, but I can do this. So that's been, In and Out. So when we first started, In and Out just kept coming to my mind. When you go there, they always have a smile and say, how are you today? And so it's just like, do the In and Out thing just for those 4 or 5 hours. But this is sometimes our days, but this is what what we do for those few hours to make a great environment. Okay, but with that being said, we know that life is really tough. And we do not want moms to feel that they do have to fake it all the time. So we have a prayer request thread. It's just dedicated to prayers. And that thing goes all the time. There are always prayers. And you can get as detailed or as vague as you want. It has been, I feel, such an essential thing to making our group unified. Because we not only know each other's strengths, but we see each other's struggles, and we love people through that. And it has created a very open place where it's okay to have a problem. It's okay to not be perfect. And the strength, I do feel like we've had a lot of strength and miracles happen through these prayers. And we've been able to lift people in, even when they've asked for prayers and they've needed to say, get together and just say, I really need somebody now, who can come? And we've been able to get together and lift each other that way. It's been incredibly beautiful. Going back one more time, I just want to make sure I didn't miss. Yeah, we're good. Compassionate service. This is not something that is official. We do have one mom that her son was born with heart problems, and he's been through a lot of heart surgeries. So she has kind of headed up compassionate service, and we've had times with meals. We've had a lot of meals go out and meal trains. We've had a mom who recently had a miscarriage, and so one of our moms here put a sunshine basket together. But seeing the need and just doing little things to help those moms has been nice. So we've even thought about adding a compassionate service non-leadership position to our group. So we'll see about that. But a culture of understanding. So we're patient and forgiving with each other, and we realize that we're trying our best. So we're not perfect. Nobody's going to be. And we have times that we fall short. We have times that, we're just not there. Last year, my husband got really sick, and I was hardly there. Like, I would be there, but I was not there. And all the ladies picked it up, and it kept going. It kept going smoothly. And I don't feel like anybody was like, oh my gosh, why is Jordan not doing her job? And people just realized that it does ebb and flow. And you have to carry. Have you guys seen that? The thing, it's like prayer, and there's 3 people on it, and there's the ravine, and they're all holding the pole. And at one point, one person's carrying, and then somebody else is like in the thick of the ravine. They're about to fall in, and then that moves, and then the next one falls in, or is about to fall in. But as we're all carrying each other through those times, it makes it easier for each of us to get through. So what was a really difficult time was eased dramatically for my family with that. And last, we have cheering each other on. So we join each other's successes, and we lift each other when we're down. But make sure that you cheer each other on. Let those moms know how grateful you are for them, and that you see their gifts and that you see the value that they have. Some moms, of course, are more quiet, and it's really been fun to kind of pull out of some of the shy, more quiet ones. Nancy, you have something to say. But to pull those gifts out and watch people blossom and bloom. And as you create that mama culture, as you create that place that these moms feel safe, each one will start stepping it up. And every time we step it up, it levels up our kids, it levels up our group. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Drennan. So beautiful. Okay, so I love how she explained having the vision, praying. You notice that? Grace, love, the things we were talking about. She talked about that as being essential too. Now, as our little plant begins to grow, the trunk continues to be the main sustaining structure. And so mama culture is actually always important, not just when we start the co-op, but like the whole time. And so now we're gonna have Marilyn, who's gonna talk to us about mama culture for the long haul, not just when starting, and shared governance. So I have our gardeners here that are making sure our tree is alive. That's the moms. It's officially maybe the board, but what I loved about FLA is that the board sees their role as tapping into the hearts and the minds of the community, asking questions, you know, like it's not a top-down usually, but it's more of like, what do we need, what serves us all? But there is a clear leadership structure too, which is helpful, and she's gonna tell us all about it. Thank you, Marilyn.
Do you have, what questions do you have at this point? What's going on in your brains? What are you guys thinking about? In terms of mama culture, FLA, setting this up? Everything? Really,
How do you
just
start?
how do you start specifically a mama culture, or how do you start an FLA? A mama culture. Okay. Where do you start? Just like the practical, right? Let's get started in practical. Good. What else? Go ahead.
How can you keep moms from burning out?
Keep moms from burning out, kind of thing. Okay. Avoid burnout. That's brilliant. I love these questions. What else? I want to make sure we get right to it.
How do you train them to take over so you don't have to be in charge forever?
Okay. Train up the next leaders.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. What else? Should we start? And if you think of something, just raise your hand and we'll just get right to it. How would you start a mama culture? In the very beginning, your president or whoever is kind of beginning this ringleader is interviewing people and being very, very specific about what these requirements are, who we are, what's this vision. Our president would talk to you probably for like an hour and a half and just get a sense of like who you are, what you're wanting, is this a good fit? You really want a diversity of skills and somebody, like you don't want all newbies, you don't want all veterans, you don't want all grandmas, you don't want all brand news. You really, really love a mix. The diversity just blesses people because you're not all in the same boat thinking the same things. So that kind of an interview process of like, who are you? Are you okay with this amount of work? Are you okay with this kind of commitment? Are you okay with this vision and what you're about? Something that's been super powerful for us is that we started with the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. And we're very specific about that. And when Carmel was sort of beginning this, she said, Marilyn, come help me, I want to build this thing. And I was asking her some questions. She says, I'm building iFamily. This is not the co-op in the park where we switch off teaching history and science each week. This is classes all day kind of thing. This is iFamily. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, iFamily did not do that. They did not start with the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. And Carmel was adamant about that. We're starting there. And it was a great fit because then in this situation, you don't have to be holding hands with the gospel of Jesus, the restored gospel, to homeschool, to start a co-op. You don't. That's not it. But when you pick a thing that says who we are and who we aren't, you already set yourself up for unity because you're not going anywhere. You don't have to talk about, well, are we okay with spaghetti straps and are we okay with lyrics in dance music that are maybe a little suggestive or a little violent, or are we okay with on and on and on, right? Because we come back and we say, this is what we're going for. This is who we are. And so I would get very, very clear about who you are so that you don't have, in like their case, they had a president come in, they were going along and had a lot of similar beliefs, had a president come in that was voted in that did not have the same beliefs. And so they had some splintering and some question marks come up that weren't there. And so a matter of setting up a foundation that's strong enough and clear enough that you can say, this is who we are and this is what we stand for. We're for the founding fathers. We appreciate them and their work, and we don't dwell on the cultural things that were happening in that time frame that some people like to pick at and say that they were no good as human beings, kind of thing. Things like that. Very, very, very helpful to get very clear on that vision. You're going to start the vision and the mission of who you are. You're going to bring in mamas of lots of diversity. You're going to get very, very clear in an interview situation and say, are you ready for this? Is this helpful to you? What else helps us in that interview process is, it's helpful if you don't have two cultures. If you're trying to have, if mamas come to you and they say, I have 8 kids, 6 of them are full-time at American Heritage, and I've got 2 that want to come, that's a very, very hard thing, because now they're trying to walk the line of 2 different social groups. So we belong here to these families, and we're trying to belong here. That can be harder in that interview process. Is this something that we've discovered? Starting out with mama culture, I love the class that Drennan was talking about, the mama class and the youth-led classes at the same time. We all come together. We do Mama's Nights once a month, and the vice president is in charge of mama culture, and her eyes and ears are all on that and her heart, and so she's creating what that's gonna look like. How are we gonna discuss? For me personally, I absolutely love mama culture. Like, this is my favorite thing. I wanna get together with you guys, I wanna know what's on your hearts and your brains, and I wanna talk about it, and I wanna bring people in and have them show us stuff, and I wanna have you show us your magic and your skills and your, guilt, awesomeness, and just teach it to us. I want to grow and expand. And so that's essential for me, because if I'm going to leave my family, I have to come away changed and different. And so it doesn't become social hour necessarily. It becomes like, partly, right? Part of it really is important to just have the downtime where we're just saying, like, here's what's going on with me this week. So I like both. And it seems to hit more people. What am I missing? Retreat, once a year we do that, and it's an overnight. So we have dinner at like 5, and then we have a speaker, 1, because we always try to cram in too much. And then we have a game, and we have a get to know you for the new ones, and we have prizes. We do different things at different times. We usually go on a walk the next morning. We sleep over at someone's house, basically, and then we have another speaker. And then we have a session where we're like, keep, stop, start. How's FLA going? Like, just like a quick check-in. We try not to do business at all, but it's so nice when there's like a fire to put out and we're all in the same place and we're like, how's this working? You guys okay? What are we thinking, right? So that's helpful, but as little business as possible. Nourishing. We want retreat to be just like, I just left transformed. I'm just gonna float home now and I can do this, Avoid burnout. We used to have all-day classes, now we have half-day classes, and so we have the magic number of 30 families, means we can kind of connect with a lot of people, but we don't do all day anymore. It's just, I teach one time, I assist one time, class is over at 12, we go eat lunch, we play, and then...
So it actually ends up being all day because people are at the park for 3 hours usually?
That's right.
But you're not teaching.
That's right. And then friends come home, right? Sometimes friends will come home on a Friday afterward, and then we've got some more specific friend time that way.
But it's not required. It's just open-ended.
Yeah, and burnout too. Sometimes if you have a baby, we just say, Mama, you just do what you need to do that semester, and we're going to take over. We just had a mom leave FLA, and I'm like, if I had known you were leaving, I would have taught twice. Like, it's not a big deal. I'm so sad. kind of that feeling. So avoid burnout is stay in the conversation with everyone, see what their season's like, see what their natural inclinations are, what their time and energy are. If your youngest is 10, you're in a whole different ball game from youngest is 3, from youngest is 6 months. And so you can just adjust, right? You can just know where people are at and adjust. Another, avoiding
Can I say
burnout,
one thing
of
about
course.
The actual record, actually, we have another one.
Hello? Yes. An actual requirement, the requirements are minimal. Like you teach and you assist and that's it. Everything else that you're gonna see there's a lot going on, it's optional if it serves you. So nobody feels like super pressured other than the kids are excited to do it, which is exactly what we're here for, right?
That's a very important piece, is that that's it. You have to be there on Friday.
There's not even meetings that you're required to go to. Once a year, there's one meeting that you're required to go to.
And even then, if you can't make it, you can't make it. You know what I mean? You're gonna pay your building fees, you're gonna come on Friday, stay there all day, unless you have a crazy emergency or you're out of town, and then you're gonna have a mama either in charge of your own kids or they're gonna stay home with your sitter. It's so minimal. We're just talking about 1 day, half day, teach, be there. That's it. Pay your building fees on time. So it's so nice to have that minimum bar. Is there anything that you feel like there's holes or gaps in either of these, the things that I've talked about so far? Go ahead.
So one of the things that became hard for me, I've got a lot of children, a lot of youngers, and this last year I was in a co-op on Mondays, and then I had a lot of other things for my older kids, and I started noticing my homeschool was just falling apart. And that's been really stressful for me, and my family routines were falling apart. And I'm kind of wondering, with avoiding burnout, it's just how do we participate in this, but then have a good balance in our home life so that our children are learning to read, and we're still checking off that.
I love that.
Can I answer my thoughts?
For sure.
I think that
5 minutes.
The burnout question is an important one for homeschoolers and for moms in general. So the way from structuring a co-op, making it minimal is the solution, but also as a co-op, you could say, this is a real problem. Let's talk about burnout, because in my head, the solution for you has more to do with schedules and systems and priorities than the co-op itself, right? Like, is this valuable? Let's put it in there. And let's also empower moms. And so Marilyn actually led our moms class last semester, and she had a whole class about self-care. And you know what I mean? Like that's a topic that we just need to constantly talk about, because we need to develop, like what she was saying, level up. Like, how am I gonna prioritize? And Deborah, in her Return to Your course, and her husband has a whole talk about systems and businesses. You basically have to learn to run efficiently and well. So yeah. Marilyn, you have 3 of my minutes, because I just took 3 of yours.
Oh, no, I'm not. My husband and I do a one-on-one on Sundays, and it's been such a powerful tool that I can't recommend enough. Because our brains, we have a template, we have a shared Apple note where we're writing things down during the week, because that time we leave the house to go talk about things. We start with our calendar. Nothing goes on the calendar until he and I talk about it, and it's really worth our time and it's valuable. And I'm noticing that my reading is slipping with my 7-year-old this summer, and I had dreams of keeping it up where other summers I hadn't. I'm like, I'm done with summer, let's summarize. But I was like, no, we're going to. And now I'm in that situation where he's at Patriot Camp right now. We didn't get to it. I literally scooped him up asleep and I put him in my car. And so the tool I know about is you tell your schedule what it is. And the 100% responsibility lies right here for you and your husband to say, this is our school time. We say no to everything else, and it's a hard no. This is our date night. This is our one-on-one meeting. This is our church. This is our family night. This is, our co-op, etc. Right? You decide what those big rocks are, and then you just do it. What else? Any other thoughts about that, or to speak to that, or something that's working for you, or further questions, or anything we've said here that's not clear? Go ahead.
I just had a thought. Just applying what you were talking about with the co-op, applying it to your home, is like having that vision and holding to that vision maybe would help avoid burnout too. Like,
It's incredible.
what's important to your home
That's right.
and what's important to your homeschooling.
That's right.
Whether parents can be there or not, it's having those pieces of vision that you live into.
Benjamin Hardy wrote a book called Be Your Future Self Now, and he sort of writes through some of those things. He also wrote a book with Dan Sullivan called 10x is easier than 2x. Yeah. And you can get really clear. That's what the clarity of this is what we're about, and our calendar, like our schedule actually matches that. I just put on a dance class for me and my husband on the calendar. Finally. I'm almost 50, and I'm finally learning that I'm in charge. And that what we say yes to is 1,000 no's, and that's just right. Train up your next leaders. We try not to turn over our board, the whole thing every year. We like to keep about halfsies. And you do the best you can. You can't predict other people's energy and capacity and all interest and all that sort of stuff. But that's been very powerful, because this board has seven on it, and 3 of them leave, then I've got 4 carrying over to know what the issues are, to know what we've tried, to know, like, they have the history. And then the new ones come on and we say, we're running this the way we've done it, these 4. And then 3 come on and say, oh, this is how it works? Oh, okay. And then they have the benefit of the years and years and years of experience doing this and making that decision and coming up against the same issue. So training up next leaders. Also, we have very specific training about that, where we onboard people with the interview. We come to park days on Fridays every summer. Every Friday is a park day. You can come every morning if you want to. So one of those is generally a training where we talk about how do we level up as mentors in our classrooms. And or I'm in charge of. I used to be in charge of the building stewardship, and so I would train people. I would have and say, look, this is what we're thinking about. The rags go here. The cleaning supplies are here. We're thinking this. Make sure you've got the windows locked. Make sure blah blah blah. Maybe in Mama's class, I take like 5 minutes or less by the timer to say, can you? This is our building stewardship minute. I need people to help kids get out the door, so that they're not coming back up and writing on the whiteboards after we've cleaned everything and throwing their candy wrappers in the trash. We can't double clean. Like that kind of training, it's kind of ongoing. As you see something, we try to take training very seriously, because there's not a problem that can't be talked about. There's nothing between us. I'm never looking at you and saying you're the problem. You and I are standing together, and vice versa, right? You and I are standing together looking at the situation, looking at the challenge to be met, whether that's the classroom management or the diversity of classes or the things we want to teach or cleaning up after ourselves. Whatever it is, we stand together. It's never me against you. And that's that mama culture. When you base it on Jesus Christ and his teachings and his love, it becomes disciples working together, trying to say, it's never you, it's never me, it's not that child. We're standing together, and we can train up. If we have a gap, which we will always have gaps, we will always have balls will be dropped 100% of the time. Then we're just learning and growing, because that's what we are, learners and growers that are developing, and we're gonna, no shame, no blame, not for each other, not for anyone's child. It's a very, 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 very big deal. And I mean, a lot of us are doing this because we're teacher snobs, right? Like, we want mentors that we want our children to become like. And so that game inspires us to bring our very, very best self to what we're teaching, to other people's families, to our children, to your children. And so we just know that we turn the gray stuff.
Such a beautiful note to end on. Let me make that analogy of the last part she said. We're following the star, right? We're following the tree of life. We're following Jesus Christ in standing together, solving problems, figuring it out. I want to make a note on the all in that Trina emphasized and that she talked about. We actually train up our next leaders because everyone in the co-op is a leader since the moment they get in, including the kids. They're coming up with the class subjects, teaching when they're used, if we decide we're gonna do a play, everybody has a job, everybody has a responsibility to magnify. We trust each other, we love each other, so that everybody could actually sit on our position and do a good job because they understand how things work. There's no secret, well, the board meeting does meet every week, but I don't like to think of it as like some secret thing that's going on. It's more like, what are we talking about in the chat? Do we need to help someone? This is all my imagination. How do we help? Who do we support, right? And it's never like a top-down thing. It's more of a sister.
Can I say one thing about that, please?
Sorry, last idea. Because of this issue of like self-governance, that anyone can be on the board, anybody who wants to, and we hope that you will, because it changes you. When you sit in the seat and you're like, wow, what is this Tetris of figuring out mentors and classes, and how do we get the youth inspired and engaged, and how many things can we turn over to them so that they can strengthen their leadership and their work skills. And any co-op that I've seen that is, this is my show, take it or leave it, has not been, they haven't thrived. They haven't.
Turnover too.
Yeah, the turnover is huge because they're like, well, that lasted for a year and then I'm okay with that, and now I'm not. So that is incredibly important, those bylaws, to say that this is how we operate. Diane Jepson set us up with bylaws that first year, and we were like, bylaws? I'm sorry, what? And it has been a game changer. Like the thriving that goes on, because we know I can run if I want to run it, if I don't like what's happening. And there's also freedom to do anything at all. You can create anything, and it doesn't have to be an official FLA thing. It doesn't have to be an official co-op thing. If my family needs to dance and I say, I'm going to throw a family dance, you're all invited. Hooray, you're all invited. If you want a tea party, a poetry tea party, if you want a kids book club, therein lies the rub. That's why it fits for everyone, because the commitment is so minimal and the options and possibilities are endless. And that's why you can have ownership. Every mama who comes can have as little or as much as they want and create exactly what they want. That's all I got.
I love it. And
the board actually does change. Like there's been people who have served back and forth, but in other nonprofits, sometimes you have the board that's like really entrenched, which has its purposes and whatever. But I love that for this kind of free offer from your heart, let's make it thrive, that everybody has a place to contribute.
I just have a question about, so you're interviewing them, trying to figure out, are they an all-in person? Are they able to give what it, like they're not just expecting us to give to them. Does that make sense? Like they're wanting, then plus having them not feel like it's too much a burden.
Right. So I'm gonna share with you, I documented the processes, the interview questions, lots of details like what our values are with our last president. It's like a 50-page document, super detailed, that we're happy to share. But basically, when you look at the interview questions, it's more about what do you want to bring, what can you bring, than what we're offering you. And because everybody's bringing something, there's amazingness going on. So yeah, part of the all-in is, I'm here to contribute. I'm here to give. It doesn't mean you have to do all the things, but your heart is aligned. Okay, we're gonna listen to Susan, who's now, so here, trees expanding. Now we're gonna talk a little more about specifics of our requirement, which we talked about. There's a very minimal requirement. In FLA right now, it's on Fridays, and Susan will tell us all about it.
Perfect. I feel like, so they did such a beautiful job talking about the vision and the why. And so this is a little bit of the application of how. So what do we do when we meet? We invite all ages. So we start with a preschool class. And I will say, like, these ages that we have found have worked really well. Like to have our 3 and 4 year olds, our preschool class, our 5 and 6 year olds have a class, our 7 8s, then we have a 9 to 11, and then our 12 plus is our youth, and we'll get there in a second. But we found that developmentally, those are appropriate breakouts for those. It just kind of works. And I'll say, besides our youth program, I think our preschool class might be our most important that we have. And we have an angel who has been over our preschool class the last couple of years. We've actually always had fantastic preschool leaders, but if you don't have this calm, welcoming, loving, warm welcome for your little ones, then your mamas are not free to be all in all the other classes that we're asking them to teach. And it has just been such a refuge. Like, and that little preschool room is like protected and guarded by Brianna is leading our preschool the last couple of years. And she does such a great job of just making it calm, welcome. Just, I don't know, I would recommend if you are looking for a preschool leader, just pray for that gift of just peace and love. And like, cause it's a game changer. Like if that didn't work, then none of the other things that we do work. And so we have that, and our preschool age stay together all day long. Our other kids, they switch up through the different class hours. We have our first class. It goes an hour and a half long, and we call it our homeroom. So the other classes through the day, they might be able to pick and choose things they want, but during that homeroom class, everyone the same age is in that class. And we found that it is so important to build those relationships. That's really one of our main purposes of that. It's just a relationship building moment. And you know, the content changes according to the needs of the people in it, the kids in it, and the moms teaching it, and that can be beautiful. And there's all kinds of ways to spend an hour and a half with the kids. And it just, like, I've been teaching homeroom for the youth for the last few years, and honestly, it's not enough time. I just love those kids, and it has been beautiful to see the relationships developed. And we've found that it's really important, especially for our youth, to have this homeroom class, because a lot of times you will find kids who just want to be with the older ones, and you know what, they're more mature. I mean, it's one of the reasons we homeschool sometimes is because they just are ready to move on, and they're academically advanced, or maybe socially, whatever. But we've also found that when they get to be about 17, all of the older kids who they have been friends with for so long, and they're now gone. They're on missions, they're in college. And then why would the 17-year-old want to stay if their friends that they've been with so long are gone? But we have seen that those who do stay bring so much leadership, and they grow so much that final year too, that it is just worth it. It's worth it for them to know the people their own age. It's just been so valuable for us. So that's our first class, is our homeroom. And then we have our mama's class and our youth-led classes. And so to do that, we offer each age group, we ask the youth, like, who wants to teach? What's your idea? And we have an education person on the board who puts together this whole puzzle and fills in all the slots of who's teaching what. And we have like 3 youth helping with our youth classes and in each youth class. And then we also have a class for the youth who don't teach, because there might not be a spot for everyone that one semester, but we love to switch that up so a lot of people will get a chance the next semester to teach. And one thing, we did it originally just because the moms need some time together. We need to build that mom culture, but the magic that we have found with it is that our little ones love our big ones, and our big ones love our little ones. And it really becomes a family. There is no, these older kids are too cool to hang out with these little kids. They love each other. And when we're playing at the park, you know, the little ones are invited to come throw the football with the little big ones. Like, they're all together. It's magic. And it's been such a blessing for all of them. These little ones not only have moms as mentors, but they also have the older youth to look up to as mentors as well. We also have done a thing for our youth where one of our classes, we combine all of the ages, 12 plus, together. Everyone's together for this 1 hour class. And that's been really good too, where it's just kind of been a nice, mix up of, they have our specific age group, and now let's hang out with everybody. Let's build all these relationships and connections and developments. And they've done different things. A lot of times it's called like a FSOI class where they do all kinds of, whatever fits for your group, whatever content you want to put in it will be just right for you.
What about
about people who have young babies? You mentioned like the preschool.
Yes.
Like a nursery or
No.
What's the
Under
difference?
3, then you're just with mom. Like we're a family that's totally fine. And even if your 3-year-old won't stay in preschool, she's welcome to come with mom wherever. And like I said, we don't mind having a little one around while we're teaching our big ones. Like we're a family. It's okay. It's totally fine.
You said the 1 hour was 12 class altogether. Is that everyone together?
Everyone. So we just have to put our class in the gym. And right now we have about 60 youth. So it's a huge class. And we have 3 moms in charge of that one class. And that's been really good for our culture, where we can actually teach our youth some just really important, we're developing their faith. And we have our dads come in a lot of times. And that's a great place to have them come be guest speakers, or if they're available every week to be a part of planning that class. We love that when they do that. And then our last class of the day, we will have usually 3 different options for the youth to choose from. Since we have 60 youth, that's kind of a good amount of classes for us to have 3 different options, but then they can choose interest-wise. And our classes, what's offered, comes mostly from the moms. What do you want to teach? And then we do have a scheduler, an education person, who will make sure there's a balance. We gotta make sure it's not all poetry and tea parties, that the boys do have some physical outlets, and we get a good balance that way. But it's kind of amazing to watch how it all just comes together. The Lord is so involved. He cares about your families. He cares about your children. And this is so meaningful. His hand is all in it. And it's just been wonderful to watch. And that's our Fridays. That's what's required, is to be there in these classes. And then there is a lot of outside activities that all the kids all want to be at, because they love each other. And then it's hard to say no sometimes, but sometimes you have to, because you will go crazy and you will burn out. But the thing that if you're all in on Fridays, then they want to be all in. This becomes such a huge support to them. And these moms just have been, I don't know that I could have homeschooled without. I don't know if I would have continued if I didn't have the support from all of these moms. I'm a better mother. Our family is different because we have this support group. I don't know. Any other questions about? Yeah.
So you would start at 9.
That evolves over the years. COVID actually was a blessing for us, because we couldn't meet as long as like she said earlier, we had 6 classes a day, and now we look back and go oh my gosh, what were we doing? But so right now we meet, so we have a gathering time at 9:15, which I'll be honest, the reason it started was just because everybody was late to 9:30 class. But it's actually wonderful, because everybody comes and they want to say hello and welcome, and you get that in the first morning. Everybody gets there at 9:15. We welcome, we say a prayer, we say the pledge, we have a little activity, little thought, spiritual devotional if you want. And then at 9:30, our homeroom class starts, and that goes to 11. It's an hour and a half, 9:30 to 11. Then we have 30 minutes for our mama's class and our youth-led classes. And then our next 2 classes are 1 hour each. So our classes end at 12:30. We spend 15 minutes, everybody has a cleanup assignment, and we get their building back into ship shape. And hopefully, is it 1:30? 1:30, yep. And it's long. One thing that we do require our head teachers is to feed our kids. So 9:30 to 1:30 is too long for our little ones, and it's also too long for our big ones. They need food. And that's I found in our homeroom, that was actually a huge bonding moment. We saved the last 15 minutes of class for just a snack and talking. And that's part of our relationship building, was just have that free time for our kids just to interact and just be together. Because we have had that complaint before, is this all, we're just in class all day, we just want to talk. So we build it in, we give them time. And then after we clean, then whoever is available and wants to stays for lunch at the park, and we play at the park as long as we want. And that's another moment of just building relationships. So yeah.
What do you do in place of part-time in the winter?
Sometimes we gather in the gym of our building. But then sometimes people just go home. Like, you are exhausted, even if it is a half day. Like, you know, Friday's exhausting and it's pizza night every co-op day. Just plan it's pizza night.
Sometimes kids organize play dates.
Okay.
And so it's not an organized thing by the moms, but they just go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or they don't and it's funny. Or they invite someone to your house. Like, it's just organized.
Yeah, nothing is set up specifically like through the co-op. That's very much just like who wants what. Let's get together if we need it, or go home if we don't, kind of a thing. I don't know. Any other questions? That's kind of our nuts and bolts of how it goes. Yeah.
I'm a little bit, sorry. So events, are there any like planned events that are?
Yes, so we'll talk about that next.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
I
a
just
lot.
was confused if there were no planned events and everybody just makes it, or there's.
No, we have a lot
Well,
of
just
planned
brace
events.
yourself. We're coming up to that.
That's actually our board currently. This next week is going to be like setting out our calendar, like for the. And I cannot tell you that is such a big job. Yes, there's a lot of events, and they're all fantastic, and it's wonderful. And so it is a challenge to say like, when is it too much? Keeping that balance and like keeping yourself from not being burned out. It is a challenge.
Thank you.
Okay, so up to this point, we've talked about essentials, right? The gospel, connection, mama culture, and the structure of time and commitment that you need for the class. I'd like to ask Brianna to come for a minute, if that's okay, and tell us, like, in her experience, we were talking at the park about like the actual value that she's seen, and she has so much in her heart. I want her to come up and share. And then we're gonna have Emily talk a little about more practical things.
Okay, what we were talking about when we were at the park is the idea of it takes a village. I don't feel like we're villaging very much nowadays. You drive into your garage, the door goes down. It's very rare for me to see my own next door neighbors. Like when I see them in the wild, I'm like, oh my gosh, like me, like it's shocking, and that's shocking, like that's a concern. And so the idea of it takes a village, I do think that that's lost. And I don't know what your neighborhoods are like or what communities you've created. Maybe you have that. Tell me where I should move, okay? But what I love is that in this co-op, whatever co-op you are a part of, you can create that. You can create the village. And I've watched some really cool things happen just in the past couple years that we've been back to FLA, because we did have a pause for a little while until my kids got old enough that I'm like, we've got to get back there, right? I've watched other youth in this co-op where I'm like, I don't know that I would necessarily want to hang around that person. They're giving me dirty looks. But I've watched moms love them. And then I saw them transform. And then I'm like, oh, I see what's happening here. We're committed to their growth. We're committed to the long haul. We're not just like, oh, you're being a surly 13-year-old. I'm going to nix you from my life forever. We're like, I see your goodness. And maybe as a mom even, you're like, listen, I can't deal with my 15-year-old right now. Can you love her like a little extra? And I love that we have that. The idea of it takes a village, I think that matters. I think that when you're looking at, Marilee, you were saying, like, I know the preschoolers' names. It's like we're invested in each one of these little people, these big people, and we're able to see past what's happening on the outside and just see their heart. And I love that we can have that capacity where maybe Emily can love my daughter differently than I have the capacity to do so, and maybe I can love her son differently than she has the capacity to do so in that week or that month or whatever, that season, that we can be that village for one another, and we can kind of shine that light on each other's children in ways that, they need that. They need second witnesses, third witnesses, fourth witnesses of all that to point out truths in life about just generic, like truths, gospel truths, and our thoughts, all of that, but then truths about who they are. So that was what I was talking to Marilee about. It's just how important that village piece has been. Was that it, Marilee?
Yes, thank you. So beautiful. Thank you. I was talking to somebody who was telling me that the church has been discussing the health, the emotional, spiritual health of the youth, and studies that they've done show that if a youth can have five's the magic number, adults in their lives that have real meaningful relationships with them, they thrive. So they need more than their moms. They need, and it could be, the seminary teacher, or maybe it's the neighbor, or maybe it's the uncle. Like it could be anyone. But by crafting this community, we're increasing our chances. And by having the vision Brianna was talking about, like, I'm gonna love Caroline through all the things, right? Then we can be there for each other. Like, we are on a mission by helping each other's children. So let's bring them up. Brianna.
My 11-year-old told me about a year, like that first year that we were there.
She said, I didn't know how bad, we had a neighborhood situation that I was trying to guide her through and help her to see, like, this is icky. Like, we need to, like, have some space from this. But she didn't see any other options. So it was like, well, this is what I'm gonna choose. And we got it to these words, but it was like, I didn't know how bad it was until I saw how good it could be. And so she was able to have a different experience with other youth that their family culture had been cultivated in a way that was synced with us, right? And she was like, oh, like my options are now wide open because I see how good it can be. And now she's like, I don't really have a desire to care about my next door neighbor being my best friend because it wasn't a good fit. And again, that doesn't have to be the situation that we're like shunning the neighborhood kids, right? That's not it at all.
Well,
it's
you
just
were concerned already for her.
Yeah, it's just that she was able to see like, oh, like I can go outside of my immediate community and find my people. And so that made
You can expect respect, as basic as that sounds. Sometimes kids need connections so in such a basic level that they're willing to be disrespected as long as they are connected. Isn't that crazy? So we need to create environments where there can be respect, at least, but also caring and love and all these beautiful things we talked about. See, there was something else. This is good. This is so good. I hope you're enjoying it. I am enjoying it. We're gonna bring our youth up to talk to us about all the optional things that we do. Program and his experience, and then we have a lineup of great presenters from our youth. So, Emily, thank you.
I have to bring notes. I had to bring notes. Because I do that. Okay, so she wanted me to talk about an overview. Screen, does that mean it's on? Oh, there we go. Okay, an overview of the extra activities and things. Not even all some of it's Friday stuff too, but in general, things you want to create, the activities and events and everything is based on creating a culture and tradition that's looked forward to year after year. So, and we've tried a variety of things, and some have stuck and some haven't, but here's some of the things we've learned about what kinds of activities. So, hold activities that have high value. I know Marilyn talked about, like for mama's classes, it has to be worth leaving your home for because you're busy at home and it has to be worth it. And so you want to make sure that you get value out of it. Same with the youth, things and the family activities we have. We talked about it being optional, like really our Fridays is really the only required, but everything else feels like you want to come to it too, but it is optional. And the hard part is spreading it out so that you don't have something FLA every weekend or every day. Because especially if you add a play in there and you have rehearsals for all that, then it can kind of get big and you want your husbands to be happy and have you home too sometimes. So finding that balance. But you have a schedule of your core activities, like our board is meeting this week to talk about and create those to put on the calendar so that you can know when to not plan a family vacation or things like that. And every once in a while we've had some had to change because of extenuating circumstances, but we try to get on the schedule before, so you know you can plan your year. We do keep, so our semester is we do 10 Fridays over 11 weeks. So we take like a fall break and a spring break, and we start in September and we're supposed to end before Thanksgiving, and it doesn't line up that way this year too, like every year does, okay. And then we are off for December and January, which is fantastic for family and holiday traditions and all that. And then we usually go back in February and try to finish before May. So it's just over 3 months. And then around that,
try to attach your activities to things that are already happening, if you can, instead of having separate things. I know this last year we had a graduation planned and also a scholar ball planned, and we combined it and had a scholar ball with graduation, and I think that was a good combination. So we're still learning. So for the whole family, there's a few whole family activities, and a lot of it is youth. Otherwise, we have a big kickoff that has been attached to a family camp the last several years. It's a 3-day camp that has been fantastic, and this year we lost our venue, so we're doing a day camp this year. The kickoff, the youth will talk about, because the youth actually plan that part, the student council, and it's a lot of gathering the ages together, the kids, and they lead out, a lot of youth leading. It's so cool to see them figure things out and activities and connecting with the kids. Family things, we do a family play. It has been every year for a couple of years, and this year we've decided to do every other year because of the mom burnout. But they are fantastic if you come to see them. A lot of mom involvement there. It's so cool. And we've done that over, sometimes we'll have like big choreography days on Saturdays in fall semester, and then we had our January was basically full of 2 days a week, all day of blocking and putting it all together for a show in February right before we start classes. So it's all when there's no classes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you it's not a class. You do the play, you put it together in January and
Pretty much. And then the fall semester before, they'll do some big choreography days. There is a class, we've done it this way this year, where there was a class for the leads so they could work on stuff individually. And that was helpful to build that in. Otherwise, parents have to come to lots of extra drop-off things, right? Do you have anything to add, any of FLA people? So another one, family things are graduation. We like to attach a family dance to that. Family dances are such a fun way to get the family all together. There's lots of line dances going on, and just the younger kids get to just throw themselves into dancing in a different way than your kitchen. You know, having them come to a dance and mom and dad are dancing, and it's just super special to have family dances. So I'd recommend one of those. Talked about them. We put a mom retreat on the calendar and mama nights on the calendar and the summer park days. So those are a couple of things. And then the student council does a lot of things. I'll just kind of give an overview of the kinds of things they do, and they're going to talk about more specifics, I think. Is that someone, or is someone going to?
He's gonna give the overview.
Do you want to, the list of kinds of activities? Do you want to do that? I'm going to do that. You have something else to talk about. Yeah, I have the list. I just wrote some down this morning. Okay, he's mine. Okay. Okay, so the student council, he's going to talk about this amazing stuff they do. But the kinds of activities that they plan, just so you know, and this is because there's been an amazing mom that had a gift of seeing the vision of what youth need and has slowly created this beautiful youth culture that is beautiful, and like new moms come in and add to it, and it's been just fantastic. But they have a youth vision retreat both semesters before the semester starts. They're in charge of crazy days on Fridays, and the end of semester showcases where we kind of everyone gets to show what they did in their classes, and the service projects. They do in charge of the kickoff at the beginning of the year and the end of the year field day. They do multi-co-op dance, and by other co-ops, they do a weekly youth Zoom conference chat and connect during the week that way for those that can. Valentine exchange for Valentine's Day, and all ages participate. Like even the teenagers make boxes for Valentine's. It's so cool. They plan a mother-daughter event, father-sons events, Halloween parade on our Halloween day close to Halloween. But the beauty in that is the value of empowering the youth for their future roles that they're going to have as leaders. And I know that as a mom, because the way we do it is they're in charge of it, but if they're your child, you are helping. And I had 3 kids on student council last year, so we were helping with a lot of events. But it and it got hard, but at the same time, the value of what they learned through that it's not, you can't even give it a price because of what they're learning. And I know that we've had, I know one girl in particular graduated with FLA, applied to BYU, and got a scholarship because of her leadership opportunities on the student council. So you learn a ton in that way. And then on top of that, any mom can plan anything. So we had a mom say, I have 2 girls in this 9 to 11 age group. We want a book club. And so they planned one, and every month a different family chooses a book and hosts it, and they have a girl book club. Some families do, field trips. I would plan a field trip to this. Who wants to sign up? You can pay me. We're gonna go to this play, we're gonna go do this museum or whatever. A humanitarian trip, that was from a mom saying, hey, we have a need for this, my kids want to do it, let's all go together. Other things, anything of other? Clogging, yeah.
Some kids are into clogging, so now everyone's doing
Yeah, like one person finds something cool and then you share it and then everyone signs up and it just expands. So that's an overview of scheduling and things to be mindful of. I hope I covered what you need.
Wow,
Okay.
Thank you, Emily. Now we're gonna have Charlie talk to us a little more about the youth program. So I hope that was clear. We have our main trunk with the required activities, right? And I'll turn this on in a minute, but then we have a branch of mom optional activities, like mom ran activities in 2 categories. The ones that have made it into the official FLA schedule, and the ones that are we're just doing them because we love them and they're for fun, and there's a whole lot of them in both. And then on the other branch of the side, you have optional youth-led and promoted activities. Some are official. They're going to talk to us about them. They're in the youth program calendar, what is it called? Youth council, they're in charge of them. There's also some that are just spontaneous too. Like, let's all go jumping at this park and get it. Okay, I don't know. We'll see what they talk about and then we'll circle back. Okay, Charlie.
Okay, I will do my best to give an overview. But I just graduated this year, and so we moved here like a year before we joined FLA. We'd had like we'd gone to like the park with some homeschool people before, but my first day of FLA was it had been a while since I'd had a first day of school, so to speak, and I was naturally nervous. I didn't know very many of these people super well, but I was just met with happy faces, with welcome. Come do this with us. Come talk with us over here. There were so many amazing people that just took me and my siblings right in, and I especially looked up to some of the older youth. They were always leading out with all the activities they were doing. They were the hype team. We wanted to do things so much more because they were doing them, and they were fantastic. They were helping everywhere they could. They showed genuine interest in even the 11-year-olds that had just joined, and it was really nice. Sorry, I have my notes here, so I might be. Forgive me if this is a little scatterbrained. I kind of just threw a bunch of things on a Google Doc and I'll talk about them. But when I joined, the older youth were kind of my examples. It was cool to see them being like Christ in everything they did. I think that really was one of the biggest things that made them so cool, was that they were so committed to Christ and their families and FLA. So that was cool. And then the classes, so we have a variety of classes from, what we've come to now is we have a homeroom with like our age group, and we learn about, sometimes the homeroom has a theme, like my brother's 12 to 14 class was a Shakespeare class this year. Sometimes it's kind of just whatever we wanted to talk about. This year with the 16 plus homeroom, it was kind of like that. There was an amazing mentor that we had in that class named Adeline Muhlstein, and she was just a wealth of knowledge in all these things. And so I guess I've come to realize that the moms were the teachers and the mentors, and I learned so much from them. And also in classes ranging from codes, like ancient codes, to a spiritual powerhouse of a class where we learned to really come to gain good habits of, and like how to really connect with Heavenly Father and Jesus and the Holy Ghost. So that was, the moms were kind of my mentors, and then the youth were my examples. And I think that's been a really cool part about the youth program. When we're able to take what the moms teach and make a really cool group of people out of it. Another one of my favorite parts about the program was the small productions and things that we did, like the plays, I want to say my second year in FLA, we did a program. We all did. Some of the youth did a production of The Garden, which is like a spiritual oratorio written by Michael McLean. We had an a cappella class once. It was experiences like that, where we're all sharing good messages, was a really cool experience, and it helped us all to bond as youth too, which was cool. Yeah, that's kind of an overview of when I joined FLA. This is what I was met with, and it was really cool. The student council is another huge part of that. My first year I was the public relations officer. I was in charge of greeting some families. I was in charge of how most of the positions work. We'll all have like other little assignments on the side, like the secretary takes notes in student council meeting and such, but almost every almost every position is in charge of a big event. Like this year, I was in charge of parts of the family camp. Like I was in charge of the kickoff portion. I had to come up with like things to do throughout that, part where we split off with the youth. Like each of the youth took a group of kids, like 2 or 3 youth, took an age group, and they played a bunch of games with them and helped them get to know each other. We had some activities that we did, like with all the families too. We covered the kids while the moms were in a mama's class, things like that. Sometimes we have the vision retreat. That's usually led. It's a full day thing planned by I think it's the president, right? Some people. Like we all had a big activity that we were in charge of putting on, and I've been on the student council 3 times, and it was, the first one was, I'm trying to think what my first one was. It was, I don't know, it was hard at first because I'd never planned something like this for this many people before, or what I did, but, and of course I had the help of moms and the help of the youth, but I learned so much about leadership, about coming up with ideas, about delegating, about using other people's strengths, about but it was really cool, and I think I'm less intimidated by leadership positions now because of this, and I've learned a lot of organizational things from that. So yeah, I think that's my overview. I hope that was answered. I hope that helped with something in my scatterbrainedness. But yeah.
It was wonderful, Johnny. Thank you. All right. Caroline, can we have you next? Okay, so the board positions, I think 5 of them are elected, like the class president and some others, and some are invited to do. And she had not considered being on the board, but then she did. And I was there, for the student council. And I was there, and I thought it was such a beautiful experience because of all the things she has in her heart, that I asked her to come and share why did you run and what is your vision?
Okay, so I am the homeroom class president for I think it's 11 to 14, but they changed the borders, and so I used to be in that age group, and now I'm not. So I'm the oldest in my class. But I was not planning on running it. My mom's I was like, hey mom, can we go home? And she's like, no, you should go and see who gets elected. I was like, well, I don't know, I really don't care all that much. My vote is only 1 vote, so clearly it doesn't matter that much, and I would prefer to go home and take a nap than to go and just see who gets elected. But mom was like, no, do it anyway, it'll be fine. I was like, okay mom, I love you, and so I'm going to. And she's like, are you gonna run? I was like, no. And so I waited, and then I was thinking about it, and since I was 14 at the time, well, I still am 14, but next year I'm not going to be 14, and so since I was 14, most of the positions weren't really, it's 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, and then 12. And so I was like, there's not really any board places I could run for, and I don't know, I don't really want to run anyway, so I'm just not going to. But then after a while, a quote came to my mind that was there's no growth in the comfort zone and there's no comfort in the growth zone. I was like, okay, I'll run. And so I ran, and the things that I said were sort of hold on, let me remember. I was just yes.
She was sitting there, and then she stands up and she's like, I'm feeling so prompted and inspired to do things together at my house. And then you started to talk about these activities.
Yeah, so I wasn't going to go up, but then I did because the Lord loves me a lot and loves me to grow. And sometimes I don't love that, but I knew that it would be good for me. And so I was basically hey, I've been in FLA my whole entire life. My mom was vice president the year it started. And then I've just been going strong ever since. And so I was 3. And so I just have grown and seen how the amount of love that has come from other people, and how it's affected me, and how I want to be that person for other people as well. And I want the youth to feel loved and included. And I just think that this would be such a great place for me to expand and grow, and it will help you and expand and grow at the same time. And how we can include others. And also, I love having parties. Parties are my thing. My mom gets a little mad at me for the amount of parties that I want to have, but I just love having parties, and I love having people over, and I love watching just including people, and it's just my favorite thing, and it helps me grow, and it helps them feel loved and included, and it's just a win-win situation. And so yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Am I invited?
Yes, you are. She's one of my favorite moms. Don't tell my mom.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I just think her experience is just so real, because she's I'm not gonna do it, but I'm feeling it, I'm gonna do it, and now she's gonna bless so many. I already feel blessed. Thank you, Caroline, for being here, serving and supporting. Okay, now we're gonna have Ryan and Miles. Why don't you come first? Then we're gonna have Ryan.
Alrighty. So, my job on the student council was, I was a communications officer. And as a communications officer, I had 2 main jobs. One of them was the weekly conference chat. And that was just something that I would delegate to one of the student council members every week. And they would pick a conference topic, and then we'd invite all the youth to study that conference talk throughout the week. And then every Monday or Tuesday, it changed in the middle of the year, we would meet and talk about this conference talk. We had the student council leader who would lead the discussion, and then everyone else was pitching in with their thoughts, their ideas, and it was just a time for us as youth to come together and talk about Jesus Christ and the powerful ways of this gospel. And that was something that we did just throughout the year, even during the winter breaks and spring breaks and stuff, when we weren't actually actively having FLA, we still met every week. And that was something that we did. My other job as a communications officer, every group has a different thing. Mine was missionary work. My job as a communications officer was in charge of missionary work and promoting that. And so I was in charge of conference talks. And then another thing we did was the youth winter retreat. I actually wasn't in charge of it, but because we weren't able to do our alumni meeting, whatever, I don't know what we would call it, fireside, alumni fireside. We joined the fireside and the youth winter retreat, and I helped the vice president with that. It was me and the vice president, we both, we planned it out, we had the ideas, hey, let's invite these alumni and we'll have them be FSY counselors. And we'll have them come and join a group of youth and just talk about their life as a missionary, those who didn't go on a mission, those who stayed home, talk about missionary work even at home, and they talked about different subjects. And I'm very grateful for my mom because she was there and helped guide me. She taught me a lot of things. She taught me how to use spreadsheets, how to organize a lot of things. So,
And she's a pro at that.
She's a pro. Yes, I am not a pro yet, but I learned how to be a little bit more one. So, I learned how to do that. We organized it all. All of the ideas came from me and the vice president. So it was all youth-led and then adult-assisted. So we had a lot of adults helping us, but the youth led it out. And that was just a wonderful experience for us to be able to grow in leadership and training, and that was really fun. Yeah, the spirit was strong.
Tell me a little what this has done for your experiences and your relationships. Because we're talking about how those are the two big things, experiences and relationships, and the fruit of it all in your life.
Well, the experiences that I've had there in other areas of learning is I was able to experience leadership and planning something, which is not something that I have in many other areas of my life. I have homework that doesn't teach me leadership. I have other things that I do, but it's being together in a group of people that teaches me leadership, a group of good friends that I can help guide. That was one of the great things. And another thing, as I led out with these youth, I got to know them a lot better, and I love my FLA friends. A term I often use is our family, because we're all just so close together. We often have a testimony meeting during a vision retreat, and it's at these points where we see the deepest part of our friends, that our relationships really come very close together. People testifying with all their hearts, showing who they really are, and we get to see that, and that's how we become real friends. There's a quote I can't remember, so I won't share it. But yeah, but that's how I got to know my friends so much more. Ryan, one of my good buddies, he's awesome. And we've been able to share that experience of hearing each other's testimonies, and now really good friends. I could trust Ryan with my life, and vice versa. So we are really a family because we get to know each other, and yeah.
And now we can trust Ryan with the mic.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit also about the FLA Youth Vision Retreats that we do. We usually do one in the fall and spring. And this year I'm actually going to be able to be in charge of the fall one, which is exciting. Wish me luck. And it's going to be a cool experience. I've never really led anything like that, never really been in charge of a big event, so it'll be exciting to do, and I'm excited. And so at these FLA retreats, we usually have like a theme that we do that the day focuses around, and it's usually focused on Jesus, and it's a really cool part of it is how we can talk about that and discuss it. And then of course we always play lots of group activities and we grow closer together, and the day is like a whole day like we can come together to bond with each other and also with our Savior, and I think it's really cool. And so we always have some group activities that we play. It's really fun. And then, of course, we have to have food, because you always have to have food. And food is amazing. And we often have guest speakers come in. Like this last winter when we did, like Miles was saying, we had some alumni come in to teach us, and that was really cool. We got to hear their testimonies and some of their life experiences, and that's always a highlight of it. And the Spirit is always so strong. And then probably my favorite part of these retreats, as like Miles was saying, was really the testimony meetings that we have. And one of the greatest parts of FLA and the youth is the camaraderie that we have, how we can all be open with each other and share, and it really leads to some great testimonies and great bond building. And the Spirit is always so strong. And then we can all come home filled with Spirit, ready to take on life again. And I think that's all I had to say.
Okay, let's have Haley come, and then Eliza is going to come down. So I just wanted to kind of point out here with our little visual with our tree. So, okay, just to recap really fast. Our root is Jesus Christ, our mama culture of Friday required activities. And then we have mom-facilitated activities. There's two types, like we said. The official ones that Emily told us, go on the calendar. They work really hard to have those official ones on the calendar before the school year starts to give everyone the best chance of being there. And then we have a whole lot of mom-initiated kind of, let's do a book club, let's have a second scholar day, let's do clogging. And then we have the youth activities. We have the official activities, and then we also have some others. Haley's now going to talk to us about, so they have been talking about some of the official assignments because of their leadership positions. There's other opportunities. For example, some of the ones that have really formed the connection, the intergenerational or age connection between the kids. Like you'll come one day and you'll find a 15-year-old carrying someone else's 3-year-old on their shoulders. And it like happens all across. How is that possible? Well, it's because of things like the youth-led classes. Haley's gonna talk to us about the youth-led classes.
Okay, thank you. So, basically, it's a little bit in the name, but also I would like to go a little bit more in depth in it. The youth-led classes are obviously classes led by youth. A youth gets to choose a skill or a craft that they would like to teach kids, and then they teach a certain amount of kids from that age group. So last year I taught a spy class and tried, I don't know how well it worked, but like I tried to incorporate scriptural references and spies, if you will, with games and activities for the kids. The reason why I found this really beneficial was because, like my mom was saying, it helps create a like inter-age interaction, if you will. And I think that's especially beneficial because I know in a lot of co-ops, that you've been in, there's definitely a lot of age group differences and separations. And one of the things that's kind of talked about in FLA is the importance of caring or showing that you care. And I believe that's why people are so open about why they care so much about FLA and why they like so many things, because it has been taught and it has been shown and it has been like pushed for people to care about each other where they normally wouldn't or wouldn't be expected to. So yeah.
Thank you. And that's kind of what culture is. It's what you do, why you do it, how you do it, when you do it. Okay, now we have Eliza. She's going to talk to us about classes and the value of the mom-led classes and the Scholar Day-led classes and the community lets everybody go clock together classes. Like kind of like how they're different and what's the benefit of each. Could we just do one of them? And of course, if we had to choose one, which one would it be?
Okay, so I have been in several co-ops, and the thing I like about FLA is in the other ones, there's just like the one main day and you all go and you learn something from the moms, like maybe it's science or something spontaneous and fun. But what I like about FLA is there's always like, there's two main classes. So we have the Friday one, which is everyone's there, all the little kids, all the big kids, we're all together learning different things. But on Wednesdays, we have a spot, like this last year we just went at a church and we'll find official teachers, like someone who, like this year we're gonna have a writer. She's gonna teach us some writing skills along with a program that's already there. Or last year we had one of the dads who was a coder teach us programming. And so Wednesdays is a lot more scholarly, and I like both of them. But Wednesdays, I feel like it allows a lot more learning to happen, and then there's kind of a more focused socializing because it's just the youth there, and it's not forced, but it's optional. So some of the youth are there, and you get to just bond more with just those few youth there and learn together, which is really fun. Like this last year programming, and in different classes, you'd reach out and do groups, and so we'd be planning like, oh, what are you gonna do for this part of the project, and so and so. And on Fridays, like I said before, we'll have a homeroom, so like all by ages. And then the rest of the classes are more, it's still by age, but it's a more broader scale. So like typically it's on the second hour, it's like basically like 7 to 12 and then 12 and up. It's like bigger sections, so you get a bond with all of them. And then we'll have a big long recess where we all have to go. And if I were to pick just one of the days that we'd have to have, I'd probably pick Friday, just because Friday everyone's there, and I always love like hanging out with the little kids or learning with my friends, and everyone's there, and I really like that too. And then, like they were saying before, there's sometimes just spontaneous things. Like this last year, someone had found a deal on a jumping place, and so we were like, oh, let's go to this jumping place all together, and it was really fun because one family went, and then we all kind of followed, and we all got to like hang out together in that place. Or last year, we'll have two families found a dancing group, and they told everyone about it, and the dancing group's numbers like doubled just with FLA people, because we were all like, oh yeah, that sounds so fun. And I was never much of a dancer. I was like, oh, dancing, yeah. But then when I heard other people doing it, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And now I really enjoy dancing. I enjoy clogging and all the things.
She's actually learned the accordion because of that group.
Yeah, I had an accordion, but then I found the folk group, and they're like, oh, do you have any special instruments? And I'm like, well, I have the accordion. And so I started picking that up because I had gone to this class to be with my friends, but I also learned something else from that. And so that's something really valuable from just this group, like just random things, like, oh yeah, we're all doing this class, and they'll all kind of stand up. So that's what I really like about FLA.
Thank you, sweetie. I realized I shouldn't have asked you which one you picked on the last question. Okay, and then you can also have all the other ones that we don't need to explain, like it's someone's birthday, yay, let's do this, so let's go swimming or whatever. And because it's all not pressure, you're not required, you go if it serves you, if you don't, it's okay. Like it's fine. Okay, let's see, do I have any other youth here that we're gonna present? I haven't yet. Okay. Henry, yes, where are you? I haven't seen. He's one. Henry, thank you, please. Who came to see Hello Dolly? Have you any friends a couple of years ago? So fun. Do you remember the piano guy in the intermission with the top hat? Was that Newsies? Yes, sorry, Newsies. Wrong place. That was him. He was a judge in Hello Dolly. the funny little old man. All right, Henry.
Old guy who cried. That was my role. But so yeah, I actually didn't really prepare much for my presentation, but I know my topic at least. So, but yeah, last semester I had the amazing opportunity to be the 12 to 13 class president, and it was such a fun time. Backstory first. When Charlie already talked about it, but when we joined FLA, we had kind of just moved to Utah and we didn't really know anyone, and I had just gotten depression, and so I was like, super sad, all that stuff, and I joined FLA, and it was really hard because depression, no friends, kind of rough combo. But then there was this one kid, his name's Will, and he started being really friendly to me, and he helped me. And then I had one friend, and I'm still best buds with him because he was actually reached out to me, and then I had a friend. And so yeah, throughout the years I've gained some friends, lost some friends, all that stuff. And then I got this opportunity to be a class president, and I knew now is my time to give back what I had gotten. And so as a class president and as a leader, it's also important to bond with who, because really I don't think I did much, but all I did was I really just made friends with them, and I just tried to let them know that they did have a friend, and because I received that. And so technically my topic was class president, and I'm going to be talking about that too. But another thing I think is the most important about, one of the most important things about our co-op is the friendships. Because, before we came to FLA, I really did not have any friends. But now I'm extroverted. I love all my friends. It's awesome to have this group where you can, seriously, we just do random things all the time. We went and played scavenger hunt in a mall or something. There's just fun activities you could do, and there's just so much opportunities to have a fun time with your friends. And that's a big part that I have learned about FLA is it's easy to have friends, and we've become a family because of that. Class president, I was another skill that I learned with being class president is delegating, because that was something I didn't even know was a thing until then. But then, as a class president, I was in charge of a event called the Fall Festival we have. It's where we just get together and have potluck and dancing, all that stuff. And it was great because I didn't feel any pressure because I knew I had others who would help, and there were so many people who were just so willing. They're like, put me in, coach, that kind of thing. And so I was like, yes, please, thank you. And so it was so fun. And we had mamas who would help us a bit too, but everyone had a different thing that they were in charge of, and I'd say it worked out pretty smoothly. No one died or anything like that. It was pretty okay. I loved it. It was a party. But one thing that I've always tried to focus on recently now is others, because that is very important. Is this others thing? Because if
Because we have someone who just graduated, and she said, like, there is no one who, like, is too cool or anything, who doesn't need a friend. Like, everyone needs a friend, everyone needs someone to help them. And as a class president, I had plenty of opportunities to, oh, that guy's sitting by himself in the corner. Hey, buddy, that kind of thing, So, when going through these things, I know, and if some people are struggling, friends and family, and their love definitely helped me with depression. And so, others.
So good. Thank you so much to our youth for coming and sharing from their hearts, because hopefully you have been able to pick up that there's been fruit in their lives from all the love and the connection of Christ that we can share with each other through our efforts. To close back on the tree, Christ said, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. And the end of it is so that your joy might be full. He is the source of our joy. Really quickly here, spiritual momentum. Remember that message from President Nelson? 2 years ago, the youth in their retreat, they have to pick the theme for our co-op for the year. And they picked that, spiritual momentum. And then they told everyone, spiritual momentum, people designed shirts, submitted them, this one won. And so it's a visual aid of what he said. Stay on the path, repent, grow, look for and expect miracles. I think that's relevant to us today. Get rid of contention. Our new t-shirt, this is last year's, Peacemakers Needed. They also, different group of kids chose that theme. That's our shirt. This is Hello Dolly. Having a shirt helps people. When we came back just like 2 years ago, first thing we got was a shirt. And Kira Matson was so excited about giving me that shirt that I couldn't help it but be excited to put it on. And then I just showed up and it's like, oh, we're all together, we're all there, we're here. And so that's just a little technical tip. It also helps with culture because you don't have to be like, no midriffs, no shoulders, because that's all covered with the shirt. I mean, that's already part of the big thing we sign and read anyway, but it just kind of makes it easy. We're all here, we're together. Okay, circling back, I see that my friend Paige came. Do you want to help me close just with like a minute or two? And then we're gonna have Deborah and her husband give us their presentation. Come up here, Paige. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate the way she teaches and she goes deep into the roots of faith with anything she ever does. And so I just wanted a little piece of her heart to be shared.
You're so sweet. So I know some of you in here. Hello. I was super excited when she asked if I wanted to come. And then I had to drop off a daughter at FSY, which is why I was a little later. But I think the biggest takeaway, as I was praying, because she knows anytime I'm asked to share anything, I'll just pray and be like, hey, what do you want me to ask? And the biggest thing is that Heavenly Father wants you to hear these things, but also take it and make it your own. That it might seem overwhelming, it might be like, wow, they do all these things, but also we've been a group for, I think, what, did we hit 10, 12 years? Yeah, 10 years. So that builds up, but also, who does He call you? Like the reason FLA, I believe, is so great, and so many other groups are so great, is when we show up as who we are, and who God created us to be. If I tried to be like Marilyn, I think she might have spoke earlier, who teaches awesome voice, it would not go well. We would all be singing really deep country songs and that would be it. And so you don't want to do that. And so I really just felt the biggest message, and I'm actually going to walk you through a quick visualization. The quickest message is that Heavenly Father wants you to show up in your groups and with those youth, whatever ages they are, exactly as He created you. And the worst thing we can do is compare ourselves or try to be someone else. We can learn from others, we can be inspired by others, we can get great ideas, but that you have everything and so much more than you could possibly need.
to inspire those youth, to help them, to lead a group. And the group truly has blessed my family so much. Like they said, I love that it's called family leadership because they become like family. So just know that whatever you feel inspired to go do, make sure you trust that God made you exactly as you're supposed to be, and that you're more than enough. So we're gonna do a quick visualization. I usually have music. We're just gonna connect with ourselves. So close your eyes and take 3 really deep breaths. Slow in and slow out. And as you take those deep breaths, I just want you to picture all of any worries, fear from family, homeschool, pressures, anything just melting away. And as those melt away, I want you to suddenly imagine you are in a beautiful, beautiful space. And as you're in this beautiful place, you feel completely safe. You feel completely accepted. You start to notice the sounds around you and the smells. There might be birds or animals. And then suddenly our Savior comes before you. And you might not feel worthy. And He doesn't care because you are worthy. He is the one that always makes us worthy. And as He looks in your eyes, He asks you, what are some of your biggest fears? What do you feel incapable of? What are you comparing yourself to? What are you stressed about? And He asks you to name them to Him. And as you name those to Him, you start to notice what it looks like within your body. And He asks you to hand it over to Him. And as you hand that over to our Savior, you feel lighter. You feel better. But He doesn't stop there. He wants to speak a beautiful truth over you. When He talks about you to His other children, which He does, He says beautiful and wonderful things about how you are individually made. And He wants to tell you one of those things right now. And He's going to tell you to trust it. Whatever comes to your mind, whatever thought or word comes, you just trust it. And as you sit in that power of who He calls you, of the greatness that He made inside of you, you feel joy. You feel enough. And you know that you are more than capable to move forward with anything and everything the Lord wants you to do. And He actually reaches out and He wants to give you a gift. And in this beautiful gift, you open it, and to you it appears empty. And when you ask, why is it empty? He says, because I want to give you a gift that you want. What desirest thou? What do you desire of me? And as you think of one gift that you want from Him, you boldly ask for it. And you know that He is a giver of good gifts. And as you see that gift take shape and come inside of you, you feel more powerful, more capable, and exactly how God wants you to be. And as He leans in to give you a hug, you feel His presence, His love, His power, His forgiveness, and His atonement wash over you. promises you that any vision, any inspiration, anything you need will come to you if you trust it and you ask. And as he finishes that hug, he pulls away and you see those eyes that truly are like flames of fire, filled with love, perfect patience. As he smiles and goes away, you take 3 deep, slow breaths, realizing that he is actually always with you. That if you can receive the smallest glimpse of who he created you to be and how he created you to be, you see how powerful and needed you are. And as you take 2 more deep breaths and open your eyes, you realize out of everything you've heard today, the inspiration, the amazing things from these wonderful youth, these wonderful mamas, that you too are made with greatness, that you are needed exactly where you are, in whatever group you're either creating or you're already in, that God is so proud of who you have become. And that when you take those things and you teach the class who he made you to be, whether it's Shakespeare or wonderful things, that you are shaping souls in the best way because you are trusting who he made you to be. If people were to look at my classes, they might think they sound very odd. We did a lot of what we just did right now in my last class. And watching them learn what God calls them, step into their potential and who they are, was truly, truly beautiful. But that is what he asked me to do. And that is not more significant or less than Shakespeare or voice or homeroom or anything else. All of our gifts are needed so that we can be the body of Christ. I just felt he wanted you to know that you are so good, so loved, and to feel very, very capable. And I say these things in his sacred and his holy name, Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Paige. Very sweet, very, very beautiful. Okay, we now have time for Ross and Deborah.
Thanks so much for coming. It's so nice of you guys to be in my home. It's fun as how we keep this house full of happiness and light. We just invite really cool people. You're coming tomorrow night, right? Okay. My husband wanted to talk first, and thanks kids for being willing to play fun games with this guy. Isn't it cool? Right? He told you he has 10 kids probably and 4 grandchildren. So we love children, obviously. Oh,
Keep talking.
Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. So I really love that meditation. I don't know anybody's name, and I remember your faces, but I might not remember your names later. Because I think that's at the core of everything we do. Because we have been given very specific gifts, very different gifts. And the whole reason that we each have a different one is because we need to pull together, right? It's all about gathering. And you know, the prophet has told us, our generation, our biggest job is to gather. I was talking to one of the moms that just left a moment ago, and we were saying, we think of gathering as going to preach the gospel somewhere. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're preparing missionaries. I've had a few missionaries. We speak like 6 languages in this house because of the missionaries. Those are my children, 8 sons, 2 daughters. Anyway, but the gathering happens at home with the other gatherers, right? In order for something to be magnified and to not just added or multiplied, but to the power of 2 or 4 or 100. You guys all get your math, right? You're like, yeah, homeschooling time. That's where the power comes God makes it more than just a multiplication or the addition. And like we know, when one or more are gathered in His name, the Spirit will be there. So I'm really grateful that you come. And I am so serious when I say come back.